So Bernie has once again decided to separate himself away from the rest of the pack, and really show that he is going to speak to the people, regardless of whether or not the Democrats want him to or not. But before we get into that, I do want to let everyone know that Tulsi Gabbard is less than 3,000 donations away from hitting that debate stage. Less than 3,000. Just click on the link in the comment section below and help her get to that debate stage to talk about things like her Securing American Elections Act, her Stop Arming Terrorism Act, her advocacy for Julian Assange, whistleblowers, and independent journalists, as well as the protection of free speech overall. And to tell the story about why she left the Democratic National Committee, not the Democratic Party, and really give us insight into why it's so important that we heed the warnings of those who were almost claimed as victims by the Democratic establishment. So you can help her get to that debate stage by donating $1, people. $1 will get her to that debate stage. $1 from less than 3,000 more unique donors. You can do that literally as I'm speaking to you. So with that being said, I do want to go ahead and continue. Bernie Sanders has decided that he is going to host a town hall on Fox News. Now, this is despite the backlash that is coming from the DNC. Well, not the DNC, I shouldn't say that. The Democratic Party and its members. Because the DNC actually said they're fine with Bernie Sanders having a town hall on Fox News, which was relatively surprising, but I have noticed that they have been taking a more hands-off approach to this particular race for fear of the backlash that was caused by Debbie Wasserman Schultz interfering in the 2016 election, very clearly interfering with the 2016 election, I might add. So Bernie decided to do this Fox News town hall, and there's been mixed reactions to it. But first, I want to go ahead and cover what Bernie said in regards to deciding to go onto the town hall. So he was actually on the Daily Show with Trevor Noah, and he said, Trevor Noah said, "Well, you were really connected with so many groups, young people, people of color, and now what is really interesting to me is it recently came out that you have decided to do a Fox News town hall, even though the DNC made a decision not to go with Fox News for any of the debates. You're breaking with that line of thinking. Some would say what you are doing with Fox News, that sentence didn't make sense, but he said, some would say, what are you doing with Fox News? They're not a legitimate organization. I guess that's supposed to be a question. So what are you doing there? Bernie Sanders answers, trust me, I know Fox News. I know who they are, and I know what role they are playing. However, in the last campaign, I did a town meeting with a fellow named Brett Baer, who did it very fairly. He did it straightforwardly. And believe me, we went over the ground rules beforehand, and they kept their word. To me, it is important to distinguish Fox News from the many millions of people who watch Fox News. And I think it is important to talk to those people and say, you know what? I know that many of you voted for Donald Trump, but he lied to you. He told you, for example, that he was going to provide health care to all people, and now he wants to throw 30 million people off of health care that they already had. He told you that he was going to give tax reform that would not benefit the wealthy. 83% of the benefits go to the top 1%. I think it is important to talk to Trump supporters and explain to them to what degree he has betrayed the working class of this country and lied during his campaign. That was damn near perfect. I mean, is it not necessary? I mean, what are we running for? Here's the thing about Bernie Sanders that I will always love. I have my critiques of Bernie, as I have my critiques of every candidate, because not a single person is perfect. Doesn't mean I like them any less. Doesn't mean I don't have faith in them. It just means that I may consider you an ally, just maybe I like somebody better on these particular issues or another progressive better on these particular issues. But I still know when someone is an ally. And when someone is willing to reach across the aisle and say, you know what? I have a funny feeling that it doesn't matter if these people watch Fox News or CNN. They probably would like to know when they're being betrayed, right? I think that the Republican moniker or the Democrat moniker, or even the independent moniker, there's something that transcends all of that, right? And it's the acknowledgement that you are suffering in whatever way that may be, financially or otherwise, medically, which a lot of people in this country can relate to. The average life expectancy is dropping as we speak. But also, there's also something else that transcends those pointless labels. I won't say they're pointless, but they are pointless when we're talking about who we're trying to engage with and speak to. Unification against the elite is something that transcends every label. It is why the largest voting bloc in this country is still independents, and that number is growing. It is why many people, millions even, left the Democratic Party and joined the Green Party. And it is this reasons why millions of people refused to vote for the president, despite voting for other offices on the ballot. Because people are just tired of elites. They're tired of people playing the same games. And Trump, although is still relatively popular, there are large pockets throughout the nation that are waiting to be convinced that there is something better than what we see. And there are large pockets of people throughout the nation who remembered what happened the last time they were not actively shaping the outcome of their political futures by staying stagnant when they had someone like a Bernie Sanders come in and say, we need you to get up. Now, there have been people that are accusing Bernie of being a traitor. Apparently, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Beto O'Rourke, basically all of the establishment candidates shared some critique about Bernie Sanders speaking on his town hall. But of course they would, especially Biden and especially Harris, because strategically, Bernie Sanders going on a Fox News town hall is absolutely genius. Why wouldn't he? If you all recall last election, what did we see come out of the Bernie Sanders races? Yeah, Hillary would pretty handedly win the metropolitan areas of particular states. But the areas that would be dominated by quote unquote conservatives, people who aren't necessarily progressive, but they're populist, working class individuals, in which the effects and the outcomes of the environmental issues that we have to deal with fracking and with disastrous trade deals, these are the communities that are affected the most, and these are the communities that Bernie speaks to the most. These are also, once again, the communities that he always wins handedly. So if I'm Bernie Sanders, do you think he's just thinking about winning the primary? Or do you think he's trying to win the election to bring a better, more unified America, not just for the 1%, but for everybody? Even if you disagree on 90% of the issues, if you agree that we deserve Medicare for all, that you should be paid a fair living wage, we should not be in endless quagmires, as Bernie Sanders likes to call them, and that you deserve every bit of the same rights as the 1%. Money should not be the determining factor of whether or not you are entitled to the same constitutional rights. If you agree on that and disagree about everything else, then Bernie Sanders has a message that may change your mind on where you're voting in 2020. And if the ultimate goal, which I thought for the Democrats was to beat Donald Trump, why is there even a debate to be had as to whether or not Bernie Sanders should be able to conduct a town hall on Fox News, or whether or not it's the right thing? This kind of reminds me, there was a a debate between Mike Figueredo and Kyle Kulinski. It actually took place right before I left to California, right before I left to LA. And I was keeping tabs on it here and there. But I remember how it sparked. And Joe Rogan went on Alex Jones' show. You know how I feel about Alex Jones. I don't like him. I don't think he deserved to be deplatformed in that way because they didn't give a specific reason as to why they took him off of every platform. They just did it anyway, which I found problematic because I said that the left would be next, and lo and behold, the left was absolutely next. So you know how I feel about that. But Joe Rogan is a peculiar guy, right? Because he doesn't really have strong opinions on anything. He does have principles. He seems to be morally grounded, but he doesn't have strong, outspoken opinions on basically anything. He's more than willing to listen. Now, Mike Figueredo took issue with Joe Rogan going on Alex Jones' show. And Kyle Kulinski said, that's silly. I don't believe that Joe Rogan is quote unquote part of the problem, as Mike Figueredo said on Twitter, just because he went on Alex Jones' show. I tend to agree with Kyle, and here's why. By providing a space for the Candace Owens of the world, the Charlie Kirks, the David Rubins, and then simultaneously providing a space for the Kyle Kulinskis of the world, the Tulsi Gabbards, the Andrew Yangs even, Jimmy Dore, of course. By providing a space to those, to all of them, then you allow the fakes to expose themselves. And you don't have to sacrifice your objectivity to expose them. Because once again, this is a question-answer format. Joe very rarely gives his opinion, maybe gives it 4 or 5 times throughout the entire thing, and it never really goes into any detail. And he basically lets the people talk, and if there's facts that need to be corrected, he introduces these facts. Now, Joe Rogan recently came out and said he's damn near a full-blown socialist, which is a pretty big deal considering that he's mostly attached to what is known as the intellectual dark web, where the Jordan Petersons lie, and the Dave Rubins, and the people who intellectually masturbate themselves. Yeah, all of them. Milo Yiannopoulos, all of them. But Joe says he's a full-blown socialist. Now, would you rather have Alex Jones being surrounded by a bunch of lunatics to embolden his lunacy? Or would you rather have somebody like Joe Rogan, who's been enlightened over the last couple of years, to sit by him and say, look, man, you got to chill. You got to relax, which he did frequently. And he does frequently. And he even said this before he and Alex Jones made up. He was telling Alex Jones that he needs to chill out because he's causing problems, not good ones. He's hurting people, not the government that he supposedly is constantly trying to take down. Joe exposes people regularly because he gives them the space and makes them feel welcomed enough that they come on. He exposed Barry Wise, the one who tried to call Tulsi Gabbard an Assad toady. And Joe Rogan's like, what? That is what Bernie Sanders is getting the opportunity to do. Getting people to expose their hypocrisy, 1, and 2, realizing that they're voting or acting against their self-interest is a good thing. You should welcome it. If the DNC's ultimate goal is to beat Donald Trump, they should welcome it. But in my humble opinion, they know that Bernie is the only one that stands to win and everyone else only stands to be hurt. Because against Bernie, Kamala and Joe Biden are polling better when it comes to those who are the average age of a Fox News or CNN viewer, which is about 60. Older for Fox News, I think it's about 62 for Fox News. So who's the only one that could benefit from Bernie Sanders doing a town hall or Fox News conducting a debate on their network for the DNC? It would be Bernie Sanders. Of course, the lesser known candidates, of course. Tulsi Gabbard would do really well also. And I believe that she's probably going to conduct a town hall for Fox News as well. But Bernie Sanders, because of him not doing well among 60-year-olds, because of the conditioning and what they believe Bernie Sanders is, talking about socialists and that he's all for 90% tax. He's not for all that. But last time he did this, it was wildly successful. And I imagine this time it'll be the same. So I'm extremely excited. I'm looking forward to it. Bernie always brings some great dialogue, and it seems that he's been evolving on a lot of the issues. And word on the street is he's even going to either introduce or co-sponsor the HR 40, which is the bill to study reparations, and then enact reparations in whatever form that may look like after it is studied thoroughly. Apparently he's planning on backing something like that in the Senate. So he seems to be evolving on the issues as people are speaking out. And I love seeing that. I love seeing an ally grow. It's beautiful to watch. Thanks for watching that segment of Mika Says Sukasa. Don't forget to join us on Roku and catch our Roku exclusives. Also, help us reach our goal of 500 patrons on Patreon. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and JustNForm.com. But more than anything else, always remember, find your balance. Peace.